Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So this is another book review. This is the Lunar Chronicles book review, and I'm sort of doing the entire series as one big video review. These won't be individual videos, I'm just going to do them all at once. So I'm going to go through the short synopsis for each one of the books. There are 6 now in the series, and then I will go from there. So book 1 is called Cinder, and here is the synopsis. Humans and androids crowd the streets of New Beijing. A deadly plague ravages the population. From space, a ruthless lunar people watch, waiting to make their move. No one knows that Earth's fate hinges on one girl. So this is a Cinderella retelling. Book 2 is called Scarlet. Cinder, the cyborg mechanic, returns in the second thrilling installment of the best-selling Lunar Chronicles. She's trying to break out of prison, even though if she succeeds, she'll be in the Commonwealth's most wanted, or she will be the Commonwealth's most wanted fugitive. The second book, Scarlet, is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling or comparison. It's based on that character. The third one is called Cress, and this one is based on Rapunzel. In the third book in the best-selling Lunar Chronicles series, Cinder and Captain Thorn are fugitives on the run, now with Scarlet and Wolf in tow. Together they're plotting to overthrow Queen Levana and prevent her army from invading Earth. So that's book 3. Book 4 is called Winter. Okay, so Winter is based on the concept of Snow White. And then, I guess last book technically would be Fairest. Yeah, this is based on the evil queen from Snow White. Queen Levana, a vicious ruler who will stop at nothing to get what she wants and is wicked and powerful enough to fool and destroy all who stand in her way. So, and then there's one other book called Stars Above, and that is a continuation that shows or goes through, tells the story of what happened to all of them in the end. That one I enjoy a lot, and we'll get to that. So I've gone through this entire series, and I'll be honest and say that I might have read them in the wrong order to start out. I wasn't entirely sure, and I read Fairest first. And now, looking back at it, I'm incredibly grateful that I did, and I'd highly recommend you do the same for those who haven't read it yet. Fairest technically can be read at any point in the story, but I would highly recommend you read it first, just because it gives you the backdrop and the story to the Wicked Queen. And then when you jump into Cinder, which is book 1, it helps explain a lot of things as you go on as to why the witch, why she might as well be a witch, why the queen is doing what she's doing. And that becomes more and more clear after you read that book. If you read that last or later on, you could be a little lost and confused as to why she's doing what she's doing. And heaven forbid, you might actually feel sympathy for her. A little bit of bias there. And then Stars Above, as I said, is the last book. And that one, like I said, it starts off explaining how each character ended up where they were in their own stories, and then it continues beyond that point and kind of shows or tells each of their happily ever enders or ending stories. It kind of caps it off very nicely. So I don't want to give too much away. There is just so much in this series. I absolutely loved it. Each book is based on, or loosely based on, the concept of a fairy tale princess. You've got Cinderella, Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, and Snow White. And that was a really neat idea, and I like the sci-fi concept of it. They kind of took a fairy tale story and turned it into a bit of a sci-fi rendition, because you've got cyborgs and all this future technology. And I really enjoyed the story. I almost didn't want it to end. So I can honestly say, when it comes to each character, I found myself connecting and loving every single one of them. When it comes to Ferris and Lavana, honestly, it's a story full of hate. I can't stand that person. I felt sorry for the child version of her. I felt sorry for the child because it's another one of those stories where she wasn't born evil. Circumstances arose and occurred, and it created the person that she is now. So I absolutely felt a lot of sympathy and sorrow for the child and her upbringing, but for the woman she turned into, I have absolutely no sympathy for her whatsoever. Unlike all the other characters, you've got Cinder, who is a cyborg. You've got Scarlet, who is a farmer, and a little bit of, and she's a bit of a pilot as well. And then you've got Crest, who is, she's represented by Rapunzel, and she is a techie. I mean, as is Cinder, but she's a techie. And then you've got Winter, who is a very compassionate person. She's very one with the people, with animals, you know, the typical stereotypical Snow White kind of person. It's family and friends and animals, right? It's nature. So this was a 5 out of 5 stars for me, every single book. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this series, and I would recommend it to anyone and anybody who would like to see a combination of a fairy tale story with a little bit of a sci-fi feel to it. Yes, each book will have a bit of a romance to it, but it's not overly done, and I really liked that too. The romance didn't take away from the story like some can. If anything, it didn't enhance it, it made sense where it all was. So it wasn't just put there for the sake of being there. You know, they didn't just create drama for the sake of drama to extend a scene. The bit of romance that shows up here and there made perfect sense. And you end up really enjoying all of the characters, even some of the different ones that aren't necessarily the focal point, but you've got all your secondary characters. And it all made it worth reading. A very, very good story. So I would highly, highly recommend this series, and I will have a review up on Goodreads for this shortly. So I thank you all so much for checking out this review, and I hope you pick up the series and read it for yourself. I'd love to know what you thought of the book series, if you've read it already or if you're planning on reading it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I again thank you so much for checking out my channel, and I will see you all in the next video.